Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, my dear students? Today, our lesson is about conditional type 2. So let's start. So, at the end of this lesson, you will be able to, number 1, identify conditional structure with if plus simple past in the if clause, would in the many clause. Number 2, use the words if plus would to indicate the unreal conditional tense type 2. So we have questions. In our lesson, we are going to answer the following questions. Question number 1, when do we use conditional type 2? Number 2, how do we form conditional type 2? Number 3, how do we form negative statements of conditional 2? The first question, when do we use conditional type 2? We use conditional type 2 to talk about unreal situations, dreams, and imaginary situations. So they are things that are unlikely to happen. Let's move to the next question. How do we form conditional type 2? Simply, I will start with if plus simple past verb in the if clause, and I will continue with subject plus would plus infinitive verb in the main clause. I have an example here. If I had more time, I would do a lot more work. So, the main clause can be at the beginning of the sentence. I can say, I would do a lot more work if I had more time without using comma in the middle. Let's continue. We have examples here. Concentrate. If it rained, you would get wet. The meaning will stay the same if you rechange the order and say, you would get wet if it rained, but you will not use comma in the middle. Also, I want to remind you that you can use other modal verbs rather than would in the main clause. You can use other modal verbs for certainty, permission, etc. Examples, we might buy a larger house if we had more money. Concentrate here, I started with the main clause and I used might, not would, and it stays conditional type 2. In type 2 conditional sentences, you can also use modals in the main clause instead of would to express the degree of certainty, permission, etc. We have examples here. Example number 1. We might buy a larger house if we had more money. I used might here. Number 2, he could go to the concert if he gave him your ticket. Number 3, if he called me, I couldn't hear. Let's continue. Here, I want your attention. Since we are talking about conditional type 2, you have to know that even if I have a singular pronoun like I, like he, like she, I will use were with it since I'm talking about an imaginary situation. Examples, if I were you, I wouldn't marry him. Number 2, if she were ill, she couldn't attend the meeting. Number 3, if it weren't snowy, I would go out. Let's continue. How do we form negative statements of conditional type 2? It's easy. If I want to negate the sentences, I will use the following rule. If I woke up late, I wouldn't be aware of what happened. Here, I negate the main clause using not with the modal verb, wouldn't, couldn't, might not, etc. Number 2, if my mother didn't remind me, I would forget my worksheet at home. So here, I negate the if clause. To negate if clause in conditional type 2, you will use a helping verb, which is didn't. Example number 3. If she were angry, she wouldn't talk to us. This is all about conditional type 2. Now, let's practice using it in a correct way. Question number 1. Write the correct verb form. Number 1. If I have a lot of money, I buy a yacht. Number 2, if I pee a baby, I cry all of the time. Number 3, if she eat lots of chocolate, she have bad teeth. Number 4, if I not have a pencil, I borrow one. Number 5, if he not have to go to school, he watch television all day. Number 6, if she have good grades, she be happy. Number 7, my boss be very pleased if I finish the job. Number 8, I not go to school if I have a bad cold. Number 9, if she earns some money, she buy a new dress. Number 10, if I invite 50 friends to my birthday party, my parents be mad. Number 2, choose the correct verb tense in each of the following sentences. Number 1, if I were hungry, I make, will make, or would make a sandwich. Number 2, I would buy a new car if I had, or have, or will have more money. Number 3, if he does, did, or will do his homework every day, he would get better marks. Number 4, if our parents were here, they told, would tell, or tell us what to do. Number 5, I would help her if she will ask, asked, or asks me. This is all for today. I hope you enjoyed the class. يمكنكم مشاهدة هذا الموقف التعليمي أكثر من مرة باستخدام الرابط أدناه. شكراً لكم.